All right, let's get right into it. When you hear Northern Ireland, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's complicated headlines and a really deep history. But today, we're going to peel all that back and discover a story about mythic landscapes, incredible industrial power, and, believe it or not, world-class creativity. So that leads us to the big question we're tackling today. What's the real story here? Beyond all the stuff you might already know, what is the actual essence of this unique corner of the world? We're going to find out by looking at three huge ideas that really shape its identity. First up, we're going to see it as a land of giants, a place where the earth itself seems to tell these epic tales, where ancient legends are literally carved into the coastline. Then, we'll shift gears and explore how it was built by titans. This is the story of human industry, of massive ambition and engineering genius that made a mark on the entire world, leaving a legacy you can still see today. And finally, we'll look at how that very same land has been completely reimagined for kings. Not old historical kings, but the kings of fiction. It's become a modern, creative powerhouse, the real-world backdrop for some of the biggest stories ever told. Giants, titans, and kings. Let's do this. Okay, first things first, before we dive into all the myths and legends, we gotta get our bearings. It's super important to understand the basics of what makes Northern Ireland, well, Northern Ireland. So let's just put some numbers to it. We're talking about a population of around 1.9 million people. The total area is just over 14,000 square kilometers, which actually makes it the smallest of the four countries in the UK. And its beating heart, its capital, is the city of Belfast. Now, this is a really important point to understand. Geographically, you can see it right there on the northeastern tip of the island of Ireland. But politically, it is one of the four countries that make up the United Kingdom, right alongside England, Scotland, and Wales. This dual identity is absolutely key to understanding its culture. All right, now for the really cool stuff. Our first theme, the land of giants. This is where the natural world is so unbelievably dramatic, it feels like it was ripped straight out of a mythology book. 40,000. That's how many of these incredible interlocking basalt columns make up the Giant's Causeway, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now, geologists will tell you they were formed by a volcanic eruption about 60 million years ago. But, legend has a much better story. That the Irish giant Finn McCool built it as a path to Scotland to fight his rival. It's the perfect example of where science and folklore just smash together. And believe me, the epic scenery does not stop there. You've got the Mourne Mountains, so beautiful they're said to have inspired C.S. Lewis to create Narnia. You've got Loch Ness, the biggest freshwater lake in all of the British Isles. And if you're a thrill seeker, there's the Carricker Red Rope Bridge, just hanging there 30 meters above the churning sea. And the best part? It's all connected by the Causeway coastal route, which people say is one of the greatest drives on Earth. So those natural giants literally shaped the land. But then human ambition came along and completely reshaped it. And that brings us to our second big idea, a landscape defined by industrial titans, all symbolized by one ship that everybody knows. I'm talking, of course, about the RMS Titanic. Now, everyone knows its tragic story, but its origin story? That is a story of immense pride for Belfast. It was right here, in the Harland and Wolff shipyards, that the biggest moving object ever created by humans at the time was built. And today, the incredible Titanic Belfast Museum stands on that exact spot, a monument to the city's amazing engineering past. And don't think for a second that this spirit of making things is just some relic of the past. That industrial DNA is alive and well. Northern Ireland is still a global leader, making everything from its traditional, world-famous linen to super high-tech parts for airplanes. And, of course, there's the whiskey. It's home to Bushmills, one of the oldest licensed distilleries on the planet. So we have a land of giants and a legacy of titans, which leads us perfectly into our third theme, a place that's been imagined for kings, where these dramatic landscapes and deep history have fueled a modern, creative explosion. And what an explosion it's been. Look, if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, I've got news for you. You've spent a lot of time in Northern Ireland and probably didn't even know it. More than 25 separate locations across the country were used to create the world of Westeros, basically turning the place into a global center for filming. And we're not just talking about some minor background shots here. We're talking about the most iconic settings in the entire series. That hauntingly beautiful tunnel of trees known as the Dark Hedges, that became the King's Road. The grounds of Castle Ward, That was Winterfell, home of the Starks. And the rugged coast of Ballantoy Harbor was transformed into the Iron Islands. It's amazing how its natural beauty became this incredible creative asset. But this creative spirit, it runs deep. It was there long before any film crews showed up. Northern Ireland has been producing world-class talent for generations. Writers like C.S. Lewis and the Nobel Prize winner Seamus Heaney. Actors you see everywhere like Liam Neeson and Jamie Dornan. And, of course, music legends from Van Morrison to the band Snow Patrol. So, you might be asking yourself, how can a place with such a complex history manage to nurture all of this creativity and industry? Well, the answer really lies in its modern identity, one that's been built on a powerful commitment to peace and a pretty remarkable system of government. So, how does it all work? Well, it's what's known as a devolved government. Basically, that means that while it is still part of the United Kingdom, it has its own local government, the Northern Ireland Assembly at Stormont, that has the power to make its own decisions on really important local stuff, like healthcare and education. And this is where it gets truly fascinating. The government isn't led by one person. It's led by two, a first minister and a deputy first minister. And here's the kicker. They have to work together, and they share power equally. One can't hold the job without the other. This whole structure is designed to make sure that both of the main communities there are represented at the very top. This entire system of sharing power is a direct result of the historic 1998 Good Friday Agreement. This was a landmark peace deal that brought an end to decades of conflict, often called the Troubles. And it laid the foundation for the stable and peaceful society that's been able to grow and thrive there today. Phew, okay, so after covering all that ground, from ancient giants and industrial titans to modern politics and TV shows, let's bring it all home with a final snapshot. If you only take away 3 things from all this, let it be these. Number 1, it's absolutely epic natural beauty, a landscape that feels like it's straight out of a myth. Number 2, it's a creative powerhouse, a place that built on its industrial past to create worlds of imagination. And number 3, it's a proud, complex culture, a totally unique blend of Irish and British traditions moving forward together in peace. It's a story of myth, industry, creativity, and ultimately peace. A land of giants, built by titans, and imagined for kings. So I guess the only question left for you is, if you were to go there, what part of this incredible story would you want to explore first?